What's up, YouTube? This is an interview from TED Gunderson back in March of '96, and this guy was retired old school FBI. I don't know if you can see that all the way back there. Speaking out. This is in '96. This guy was speaking out hot. There's a few people that were really talking about this stuff. Listen to what he says before 9/11 happens.
Okay, the anti-terrorism legislation, I've said it publicly many times. This will create a situation that will deteriorate and destroy our constitutional rights and civil liberties. Let's go back to the initial writing of the bill. It was done under the Bush administration, set on the shelf. It didn't pass. One of the authors of the bill made the statement people have to be killed before this will be passed. We had the World Trade Center bombing in 1993. October 28, 1993, New York Times and LA Times. An operative, this is documented in this article, an FBI operative, in talking to his FBI handler, made the statements and documented the fact that the FBI knew about the bombing that was to take place and did not prevent it from happening. I don't know about the rest of you, but when I was in the FBI, our ultimate goal in a case of that type was to protect the victims at all costs. We would never have allowed anything like that to happen, the bombing to have occurred. And then there were 6 people killed, $500,000 in damage, 1,000 individuals were injured, and the anti-terrorism bill did not pass. So along came April 19th, 1995, and it is alleged that McVeigh and Nichols were involved in the bombing of the Oklahoma City building. I contended right from the beginning that that was an incident created by this evil element, criminal element, within our government in order to hasten the passage of the anti-terrorism legislation. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the latest developments, search without search warrant. The president can label the groups as terrorists, illegal taps are legal as long as the police felt that they were acting in good faith. Firearms sold today using a robbery or a situation later on, 5 years, 6 years now, can result in the person who originally owned the firearms and going to jail. Seizure of assets, secret evidence, you would not necessarily face your accuser in certain circumstances, and so forth. And you're familiar, I'm sure, since you are a well-educated group, with the survey that was taken at the Marine Corps, 29 Palms. 1 out of 4 GI said they would shoot their fellow Americans if they did not give up their firearms. Are you aware there's a bill in Congress for a United Nations tax right today? Before Bush left office, he signed a treaty that would allow us to send our troops to overseas in the event of insurrection overseas, and foreign troops to come into the United States in the event of insurrection.
Bush Sr.
And I have in front of me a Department of Army memo dated 29 August 1994, Army Draft Regulations on Civilian Inmate Labor Program. Enclosed for your review and comment is the Draft Army Regulation on Civilian Inmate Labor Utilization and Establishing Prison Camps on Army Installations. The draft regulation is the compilation of all policy, message, Civilian Inmate Labor Oversight Committee, policy decisions, and lessons learned to date. The new regulations will provide the following, and it goes on and it gives a number of points. Let's see, we're in California. We're going to have Ukrainian troops. Are there any Ukrainians in the room? I hope you know how to speak Ukrainian. Ukrainian Hall, okay, good. Now, I don't know about you. I'm sure that you've seen from reading Spotlight and so forth that there have been allegations of thousands of UN troops in the United States. I was hesitant to accept that without personal knowledge. I talked to an individual who went out with 3 other men. They heard that there were some troops down in Arizona. They went out and they claimed they found them, and they saw them, and there were thousands of foreign troops there. Are you familiar with the executive orders that are in place today? Take over all communications, mediums, petroleum, gas, minerals, transportation, control highways, government, education, etc., etc. Virtually a banking system, virtually take over the country. You're familiar with the Federal Execution Center in Terre Haute, Indiana. Brand new. It houses like 30 inmates. We haven't had federal execution since 1963. You're familiar, I'm sure, with the many new prisons that are being built around the country. In Texas alone, they're building 36 new prisons. Janet Reno wants a national hit team that could operate any place in the United States, which will include civilian and military personnel, in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. And basically that's about what I have to say, except for, let me mention this. I announced my candidacy, as I said, in late November. And as a result of that, within 4 days, a fellow investigator from Washington, D.C. contacted one of my ex-girlfriends. I've been single for 22 years. I'm not playing around on any wives or anything. Contacted one of my ex-girlfriends and interviewed her. The fellow's name is John Alexander. I made a call to Washington, D.C. John Alexander is a close associate of the White House administration. I can definitely prove that my telephones are tapped. I had a friend from L.A.
Alright, that's
called me using
a little bit past where I wanted to stop at.
Never used the alias
but
before.
This is how I want to end this.
And another 2,000 joined them and went on over to IRS and told IRS to get out of the state of Texas.
Okay, we collected $173 here for Ted's campaign.
I believe this guy was telling the truth. And this was one of the good FBI
Let's give him a round
employees, officers that believed in the Constitution and the country.
Thanks a lot.
In America. Watch how he ends. Or how I'm going to end this.
Thanks a lot. Now, you've seen this, and you've seen this, and what are the others that they do? I forget. But Bill Clinton goes like this every once in a while. Well, mine is this, right? Thank God we're all free.
That's what's up. This guy tried to speak out and was harassed and eventually ended up dead for what he said, speaking out against his own organization and his own government. Crazy things are happening. People don't believe it. Do some research. Everybody's been bought and sold. Bought and sold.